Watson, good morning. Long time. How are you? How's your fever?
Morning, sir. Much better, sir, now.
Hmm? Okay. Is your tension calm down? Only both of us are here.
Yes, sir. A little, yeah.
Hmm?
So I probably got that tension because I missed out on some classes.
That look, it's expected actually. Okay, like if you have some expectations beforehand, and then you see it in one particular light, if it changes a little bit, you will get tensed. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So, do you have any doubts from the previous sessions you're trying to catch up on?
No, sir, but if I have one, I'll WhatsApp you, sir.
Okay. Wait for more people to join.
Yes, sir.
But feel free to go ahead and ask doubts, okay, if you have anything.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Looks like there are only three of us. So for now, just continue. Okay, is the screen clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we were into vectors from yesterday, day before. So linear combination of vectors is what we'll be looking at now. So guys, I want you to write notes along with me. Collinearity and coplanarity. Yeah, that is the topic we're talking about. So first we look at relation between two collinear vectors. In between two collinear vectors, A and B are two collinear vectors if x dash is the unit vector in the direction of A and unit vector in direction of B is x cap or minus x cap. These are collinear vectors. Basically, what they meant is A is mod A into x cap and B is mod B into plus or minus x cap. So from here, you can just conclude that like A vector equal to vector, and instead of x cap, I can write it as B vector divided by what is B vector into plus or minus 1. So basically, you can conclude from here that vector A is a multiple of vector B. Lambda is any multiple. Got this much? Hmm. This is the condition for collinearity of two vectors. Okay. So these two vectors just need to be parallel. That's all for them to be collinear. Is that much clear? Hmm. Because they are free vectors, you can take this vector and place it here also. Okay, to make them look like they're on the same line. So for collinear vectors, they just need to be parallel to each other. Okay, either in this sense or in the opposite sense. That doesn't matter. As long as the supports are parallel, you have them to be collinear. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So theory wise, theorem written like this. A and B are non-zero, non-collinear vectors. And if it's given that x into A plus y into B, where x and y are some constants, okay, equal to 0, then you can conclude that what? If they're non-collinear vectors, no way you can write A in terms of B, right? A equal to minus y by x into B. Which means A and B are parallel, right? If I write this as A equal to lambda B. That's what I'm doing here. It means they're parallel, but it's given that they're non-collinear vectors. So this is not possible. So then the only conclusion here possible is x equal to 0 and y equal to 0. Got this?
So will
Yes,
that
sir.
not make the vector 0?
No, that is another possibility. Like, but then it's given that they're non-zero, non-collinear vectors. So if you get any x a cap, sorry, x into a vector plus y into b vector equal to 0, the three are actually possible. Either a cap equal to b cap equal to 0, this is possible, or x and y are equal to 0, all right, or a and b are parallel. Okay, these three are actually possible. But here we are talking about non-zero, non-collinear vectors. Okay, if that's the case, then x equal to 0 and y equal to 0. Right? They can't exist as a multiple of the other vector. Did you understand that much? If they're non-collinear, you can't write
Yes, sir.
one
Now
vector as a multiple of the other. That's the theorem.
yes, sir.
Right? Okay. If A and B are two non-collinear vectors, then x1a plus y1b equal to x2a plus y2b implies, what does this imply? X1 equal to x2 and y1 equal to y2. All right. So here, if you want a proof, just take the statement and write it as x1 minus x2a plus y1 minus y2 b equal to 0. Can we not do this? I just took everything to the side and took the vector part common. Okay. Now,
Yes, sir.
here, this is of the form what? xa plus yb equal to 0, where a and b are two non-collinear non-zero vectors. Okay. So here, this implies x equal to y equal to 0, which further implies n equal to x2, y1 equal to y2. Got this?
Yes,
X
sir.
is x1 minus x2. So that becomes 0 means x1 equal to x2. Same for y1 minus y2. Also the third form of the same thing. If it's given that A is A1 I cap plus A2 J cap plus A3 K cap and B is B1 I cap plus B2 J cap plus B3 K cap, then if it's given that A and B are collinear vectors, all right, if it's given that A and B are collinear vectors, then you can simply say that A1 by B1 equals A2 by B2 equals A3 by B3. Clear all of you? And clear both of you?
Yes, sir.
Right. Just yes, but yeah, there'll be quite a bit of theory in today's session. Okay, so be prepared. And here's the first part. Okay. Now, 3-point collinearity. 3 points. Okay, 3-point collinearity. Now here, before we did 2 vectors. Okay. Here, 3-point collinearity is what we're taking. 3 points A, B, C are collinear if this is obvious. AB equal to lambda BC. All right. AB vector is equal to lambda into BC vector, right? 3 points are
Yes,
collinear.
sir. Yes, sir.
ABC is there, AB vector and BC vector are also collinear. That's the idea. Okay. Now, second way. Okay, write the note down. 3 points are collinear if and only if there exist scalars, if and only if there exist scalars x, y, and z, not all 0, such that xa plus yb plus zc equal to 0. So A, B, and C are position vectors to the points A, B, and C. Okay. All right. So there'll be some origin, you assume. So from there, you draw position vector. This is what it'll look like. Okay. So here, this is satisfied where x plus y plus z equal to 0. Okay. So if they are collinear, if the 3 points are collinear, you can say that C divides AB in some ratio. Okay, I'll take it as y is to x ratio. All right, this is like a mini proof. So C vector can be written as x into A vector plus y into B vector plus y plus x, right? Using section formula, we can write C vector like this, can't we? All right, so rearranging this, I write this as x into a vector plus y into b vector minus y plus x into c vector equal to 0. So here I take this as z. Basically, z is equal to minus y plus x, or in other words, x plus y plus z equal to 0. You get now where this condition comes from?
Yes, sir.
Right, so there will exist scalar combination of these three vectors such that they add up to 0. And the scalar combination is done in such a way that x plus y plus z is also equal to 0. All right, please note this down. A is equal to a1 I cap a2 j cap plus a, no. This is for 2D, okay. E equal to a1 I cap a2 j cap c equal to c1 I cap plus c2 j cap. Now, A, B, C, 3 points are collinear if and only if A1, A2, 1, B1, B2, 1, C1, C2, 1 is equal to 0. You know that half of this is the area of the triangle, right? With these coordinates. So that's the idea there. Okay, so you get the area of the triangle to be equal to 0 for these 3 points, which means they are on a straight line. That is one way of looking at it. Or think about the lines like this. X. ABC will be collinear if x into a1 I cap plus a2 j cap plus y into b1 I cap plus b2 j cap plus z into c1 I cap plus c2 j cap equal to 0, and x plus y plus z should be equal to 0. What are we talking about here? There are basically 3 equations. You can compare the I terms, I cap terms. I cap terms would be a1x plus b1y plus c1z equal to 0i. Next, compare the j cap terms, a2x plus b2y plus c2z equal to 0 j cap. And then this equation is there. Okay. So these are equations of okay. So in x, y, and z, you need to find the solution. All right. So x, y, z all are not 0. And we're looking for non-trivial solutions, right? You guys know what non-trivial solutions are? Look, 0, 0, 0 for x, y, z would be the non-trivial solution for these 3. What would be the trivial solution for these 3? We are looking for non-trivial solution. All right. So if non-trivial solution exists, they are all collinear. For non-trivial solution to exist, what do we know here? D is equal to 0. Determinant of D is equal to 0. A1, B1, C1, A2, B2, C2, A3, A3, B3, B3. It's 1, 1, 1. It should be equal to 0 here. Okay, for non-trivial solutions to exist, we had D equal to 0. Okay, so we are using that only here. Getting this, guys? Okay, if this is not clear, at least make sure you understood the other versions. Okay, I'm just over explaining everything right now. Is it clear? Any doubts here?
No, sir.
Matrices determinants, guys, connect this, connect this. Okay, do that later. All right. So, okay, we have this much. Now, let's look at something called theorem of coplanar vectors. Now we know if vectors are collinear. Now we are checking if they are coplanar. Okay. All right. So the first idea you want to understand, I would want you to understand is if you take any two vectors, okay, non-parallel vectors, A and B. Okay. You can use these two vectors. Okay. So you take any two non-parallel vectors, they will lie on the same plane, right? Non-zero, non-parallel vectors, if you take, both will lie on the same plane. So you
Yes,
can
sir.
see the plane of your screen is where the two vectors A and B are drawn. So you take any two vectors. So you can imagine a plane through it. Okay. Because the triangle will lie on that plane area. Simple. Think like that. Okay. So these two vectors are there. The idea is using any two vectors, you can find any other vector on that plane. Am I making this clear? Using any two vectors, I can find any other vector on that plane. Okay. So suppose I want to find a vector like this. Okay. How do I use these two vectors here, A and B? So I will extend A here. Okay. And then try to form a parallelogram. This is my objective here. Okay. So B is going till here. A is going till here. So I will call this lambda A and I'll call this. So this much length, the entire length will be lambda A. This much will be lambda B vector. The thing is, we can use triangle law of addition. Then we get lambda A plus mu B equal to C vector. Okay, so you want to represent any vector. All right, on that plane, that is the catch here. Using two non-parallel vectors, you can represent any vector on that plane. So you might be having doubts, okay, so what if this thing is placed like this? Okay, fine. Let's bring it here. Okay. So what do we do here? I use the lambda into A becomes negative of some quantity into A. It will come somewhere here. And B will be in the opposite direction somewhere here. Together, you form a parallelogram. Okay. So lambda value becomes negative and mu value along with B becomes negative as well. You take another negative value. And then you see that lambda A plus lambda plus mu B equal to this C. So you take any vector on the plane, you can represent it using these two values. Are you getting this much?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right. Now, did you know this before?
No, sir.
No, huh?
Sir,
You
yes,
must have
sir.
known. Huh?
Yes, sir.
Right.
Physics they taught, sir.
Okay. Aditi, are you following?
Yes, sir.
All right. So the idea is you can always, like, you have two vectors A and B. Yeah, and you want to find a third vector C using A and B. You can always form a triangle. Okay, you extend this much, and then extend this much, such that this can be placed here. All right. If you form a triangle, you have your answer. Okay. Now here, though, you'll have to put this way. Okay, this one should go this way, and then you will get something like this. Anyway, this is the theorem of coplanar vectors. I hope you got the basic idea of this. So
Yes, sir.
remember, we use two vectors to form any point on this in space actually. So on the xy plane, I will use this as I cap direction. This will be j cap direction. Remember this, right? This is x. So any point x comma y can be represented this way. How? X I cap. So any vector from 0 comma 0 to this x I cap plus y j cap can be represented as lambda into I cap plus mu into j cap, where lambda is equal to x and mu is equal to y. Getting this now? For rectangular system, please apply it. You will get the idea. Now, 3 points coplanarity. 3 points coplanarity. First one. Write the notes. 3 vectors are coplanar. 3 vectors are coplanar if and only if any one of them is a linear combination of the other two. Basically, you can write the third vector in terms of the first two vectors. All right, it's a linear combination of the other two vectors. Got it, guys? Then you immediately say that the 3 vectors are coplanar. Okay. All right. Now, write the second point. If 3 points with position vector A1, sorry, A equal to A1 I cap, A2 J cap, A3 K cap, B, B1 I cap, B2 J cap, B3 K cap, and C, C1 I cap, C2 J cap, C3 K cap. Then you simply say that A1, A2, A3, B1, B2, B3, C1, C2, C3 equal to 0 if A, B, C are coplanar. Okay. So this is the idea, okay, here. When you write A, B, and C like this in terms of its components along the rectangular axis, what will happen here is that the 3 vectors can form a volume, right? They cannot be in the same plane, like that way. Like you put your fingers out like this, you can see that the 3 vectors that you're forming with your fingers are giving you a volume. Only when you do something like this can you see them lie on the same plane, right? Okay, do any variation of this, they will lie on the same plane. But the second you move something out of the ordinary, something out of that plane, you get a volume being formed, right? Guys, can you understand this much? The 3 vectors are on the same plane, will become 0. The volume will become 0. If the 3 vectors are not on the same plane, you will get a definite volume. Some value you will get for the volume. Okay. So just understand for now that this is also representing some volume quantity. Okay. Just keep this in the back of your head. Let's proceed now. Right. So it's given that A, B, C are non-coplanar. And if x1a plus y1b plus z1c x2a plus y2b plus z2c x3a plus y3b plus z3c, okay, are coplanar. Then we can conclude that x1, y1, z1 x2, y2, z2, x3, y3, z3. This determinant will be equal to 0. So here, instead of I cap, j cap, k cap, I used any A, B, C such that they are non-coplanar. Okay, guys? All right. Guys, are you following the difference here? Instead of I, J, and K, I'm using three other vectors, A, B, and C. But it's given to me earlier that A, B, and C are non-coplanar. All right. So just understand this dimensional thing, okay? Using two non-collinear vectors, you can find any vector in that plane. That much was clear to you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now using any three non-coplanar vectors, like for example, I cap, j cap, k cap, for example, okay? So using any three non-coplanar vectors, you can find any point in 3D space. It will be a linear combination of these three. Using any two non-collinear vectors, you can find any vector in that plane. Just use a linear combination of them, these two vectors. Okay. Now, for three vectors that are non-coplanar, a linear combination of them can lead to any other point in 3D space. Yeah?
Yes, sir.
Right? So, using that logic, please understand this part. Now, the next note, guys, some bit of note writing is there, okay? Coplanarity of 4 points. First one, A. So suppose 4 points are given. And you have to check if the 4 points lie on the same plane. Right? You get 3 points, you know they lie on the same plane. Okay, it'll be a triangle. It's called a triangle. Right? Now, if you're given the fourth point, will it form a volume or not? That's the idea. Okay, will there be a volume formed or will it be on the same plane? Okay. Much clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so here, how do we check if they are coplanar? So here, you have 4 points given, you form 3 vectors out of them. AB vector, AC vector, AD vector. Check if they are coplanar. All right, that's it. Okay, just prove that these 3 vectors are coplanar. How do you check if 3 vectors are coplanar? Just find the volume thing. Okay. All right. Say volume equal to 0. That's when you know they are coplanar. So you have 3 vectors given to you. Find the 3 vectors and directly check if they are coplanar. All right. This is pretty straightforward. Next part. A, B, C, and D are coplanar. A, B, C, D are coplanar if and only if there exists scalars x, y, z, and w or u, not all 0, such that xa plus yb plus zc plus ud equal to 0, and there will be a condition x plus y plus z plus u equal to 0. Does this look familiar to you? Just compare with the collinear case. Okay, 3 vectors are collinear. So here there are 4 points that are coplanar. Okay. So what is the idea here? They can lie on the same plane if one is represented as a linear combination of the other three. Okay. As a linear combination of the other three, and x plus y plus z plus u equal to 0. Okay. Okay. Suppose A is equal to a1 I cap a2 j cap plus a3 k cap. B is b1 I cap b2 j cap b3 k cap. C b1 I cap c2 j cap c3 k cap. D b2 j cap b3 k cap. So here, what you simply do is a1, a2, a3, 1, b1, b2, b3, 1 to check if these 4 points are coplanar. Okay, c1, c2, c3, 1, d1, d2, d3, 1 should be equal to 0. All right, so this is a 4 cross 4 determinant. You can find this, right? You expand along any row. So it's nothing but a1 into b2, b3, 1, c2, c3, 1, d2, d3, 1. So this is 3 cross 3 determinant. You can easily find that out. Minus a2 into b1, c1, d1, b3, c3, d3, 1, 1, 1, plus a3 into b1, b2, 1, c1, c2, 1, d1, d2, 1, plus 1 into b1, b2, b3, c1, c2, c3, d1, d2, d3. So actually it's minus 1 here. Plus minus, plus minus, plus minus. Okay, you find this value and you equate it to 0. But instead of all that, what you can do is, okay, write this as a1, a2, a3, and 1. And here I'll subtract the first row from it. Okay, so it becomes b1 minus a1, b2 minus a2, b3 minus a3, and this becomes 0. Similarly, you subtract the first row from this, minus a1, d1 minus a1, b2 minus a2, d2 minus a2, sorry, c2 minus a2, d2 minus a2, c3 minus a3, d3 minus a3, 0, and 0 comes here, and you get this as minus 1 into, when you expand all this, okay, each of them will have each of these 3 cross 3 determinants. Okay, instead of 1, 1, 1, 1, it'll have 0, 0, 0, 0. So they all become 0. Okay, you're left with only this part. So this can be written as minus 1 into b1 minus a1, b2 minus a2, b3 minus a3, c1 minus a1, c2 minus a2, c3 minus a3, b1 minus a1, b2 minus a2, b3 minus a3, whole thing coming out to 0. Okay, guys? Okay. Think of it as making 3 vectors from the 4 points given and finding if they are coplanar. That is what you're doing. You formed AB vector, AC vector, and AD vector from this, right? Okay. So this minus 1, you can just remove. Since you are equating it to 0, right? Any doubts here, guys?
No, sir.
No doubts here. Okay, let's continue. Theorem of non-coplanar vectors.
So can you scroll up for 1 second? Yes, sir. Done.
Now get ready to write notes. First one. If A, B, and C are non-zero, non-coplanar vectors, if A, B, and C are non-zero, non-coplanar vectors such that xa plus yb plus zc equal to 0, then x equal to y equal to z equal to 0. Don't copy from this. Hear what I'm saying and then copy. Okay. If A, B, and C are non-zero, non-coplanar vectors, so write that down part. Write that part down. Okay, such that xa plus yb plus zc equal to 0, then we get that x equal to y equal to z equal to 0. Right. The second part, A, B, C are non-coplanar. Then any vector R can be expressed as a linear combination of A, B, and C. Okay. It's given that any vector R can be linearly represented, as a linear combination of three non-coplanar vectors. That's the idea. Okay. So any vector R can be defined like this. All right. This is much good. Okay. Write the next set of notes. Linear independence and linear dependence of vectors. First part. Linearly independent. I'm just making you write the theory, but it'll actually look obvious. Okay. So A1, A2 vector, A3 vector, all the way up till AN vector are all linearly independent if x1 A1 plus x2 A2 up till xn AN, you say this is equal to 0, it implies only one thing, that is x1 equal to x2 equal to xn equal to 0. All right. So it just means that you can't write one as a linear combination of the others. Got this? Okay, it means that all the coefficients necessarily have to be equal to 0. So then you say that they are linearly independent. What about linearly dependent? Here it's the same thing, but x1, x2, 3 are all not 0. Okay. All of them are not 0. That's the idea. Even if one is not 0, that's it. No, actually, at least 2 should be non-zero. So then you say that they are linearly dependent. Okay. This much is clear? All right, next write some properties. The first one, I'm not writing it down here. The first one, I'm reading it out. A superset of a linearly dependent set of vectors. A superset of a linearly dependent set of vectors is linearly dependent. So don't write linearly dependent as it is. LD is good enough. Li is linearly independent. Okay. First point is superset of a linearly dependent set of vectors is linearly dependent. Okay. Next, a subset of linearly independent set of vectors is linearly independent. You wrote the second point? A subset of Li set of vectors is also Li. Third point, Two non-zero, non-collinear vectors are Li, linearly independent. Two non-zero, non-collinear vectors are Li. We know, right? We can't write them as a multiple of the other. They are non-collinear. Okay, two vectors. So we say that they are linearly independent, Li. Next, any two collinear vectors will be LD, linearly dependent. Okay, these properties should make it clear to you what linearly independent is. Right, the fifth one. Any three non-coplanar vectors are Li. Make sense? All of you? Any three non-coplanar vectors are linearly independent. Got this?
Sir, in the previous point, it was collinear, no, sir?
Which one? The previous one. Any two collinear vectors are linearly dependent. LD.
Okay, sir.
This
Okay,
is the
sir.
fourth point. The third point was any two non-collinear vectors are Li. Okay. The non-collinear, you can't represent them as a multiple of the other. That's the idea. Okay. So you call them Li. You can represent them as this thing. So if they are collinear, they are LD. Now, you have 3 points. As in 3 vectors. Okay. So if they are non-coplanar, they are Li. If they are coplanar, they are LD. Okay, so that is the 6th point. Any three coplanar vectors are LD. Are you following?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right. Then right, the next point. Any four vectors in 3D space is LD. Any four vectors in 3D space is LD. What is
Sir,
going on
sorry, can you
here?
repeat?
The 7th point or the 6th point?
Yes, sir. No, the one you just said now.
Okay, so the 7th point is the 8th point is any four vectors in 3D space is LD, and the 7th point, I'll just write it down. Okay. So leave some space, leave a decent amount of space, like 4 or 5 lines. And then, right, any four vectors in 3D space is LD. Okay. Now, we know that any three non-coplanar vectors are Li, right? Right, I'll just explain the 8th point here. Okay. The 7th point leaves some space. The 8th point I did like this. Any four vectors in 3D space is LD. Now, any three non-coplanar vectors are Li? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Why? Why is that the case? Guys, come on, please answer. Three vectors. They are in different things. Okay, orientations. They don't lie on the same plane. You cannot represent one in terms of the other vectors. Think like this. All right, guys? So you can say that any three non-coplanar vectors are linearly independent. Okay. Now, if you add a fourth vector, like any fourth vector, the idea here is that if these three are independent, I can use these three to represent any other vector.
Yes, sir.
So
Because
what
they're
happens
not
to the fourth vector?
dimension.
I can represent fourth vector as a linear combination of the first three vectors, which are non-coplanar. Okay. So here you can conclude that any four vectors you get will be linearly
Are
dependent.
linearly dependent.
Right, guys? Okay. Okay. So the 7th point, three vectors are given such that A is given by the point A1 I cap, A2 J cap, J cap. Similarly, there will be a B and C. They will be linearly dependent. So 3 vectors will be linearly dependent if A1, A2, A3, B1, B2, B3, C1, C2, C3 equal to 0. All right, got this? If the volume is equal to 0, things like that. Okay, volume formed by these 3 vectors will be equal to 0. Okay, so this much is clear to you. Next, right, product. 2 vectors. Okay, so we know there are 2 types of product. One is scalar product, or commonly known as dot product. Other is vector product, or commonly known as cross product. Okay. All right. So we'll be dealing with scalar product now. Okay. Scalar product. What is scalar product? You find the scalar product of 2 parts, 2 vectors A and B. So there's an A vector and there is some B vector. Now, and the A vector go a little more. Okay. So this is nothing but mod A into mod B into cos theta. Yeah. You guys know this before,
Yes,
right?
sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now here, what is the value of theta? Theta is between 0 and pi. Okay. So cos theta can take values from -1 to 1. That's the idea. Think like that. All right. So that is what you multiply the magnitudes of, as in the product of their magnitudes with. Okay. Now, what are we talking about here? This is A into B cos theta. Or I can write this in as B into A cos theta. Now, what is B cos theta? If this is the angle theta, this length becomes B cos theta, right? Right, guys? If this is the angle theta, this is B sin theta, and then mod B sin theta. This length is mod B cos theta. Okay, so this length is B cos theta. This you're multiplying with the magnitude of A. Okay, so take these same vectors again. So this is the same value theta. From A, I'll draw a projection to B. Okay, so the idea is to draw a projection to the other one. Okay, so when I say A into B cos theta, I mean magnitude of A into magnitude of projection of B on A. Are you following? If I do this, it's magnitude of B into magnitude of projection of A on B. This is mod A cos theta. Getting this, guys? Is equal to
Yes, sir.
into a vector, magnitude of a vector, into magnitude of projection of other vector on this vector. Okay. You're looking at the projection of the other vector on this vector. Okay, that is what is being involved. All right. Now, we know that dot product is a real number. It will be less than or equal to mod A into mod B because cos theta can take a maximum value of 1. Right? Nothing but mod A mod B cos theta. So we know cos theta's maximum value is 1, minimum value is -1. So it's less than or equal to, so this will be greater than or equal to minus mod A into mod B because cos theta's minimum value is -1. Okay. So here, when you get this as positive and this as negative, what can you conclude? This greater than 0 means theta is acute because cos theta, if it's acute, will be positive. If it's less than 0 means theta is obtuse. You obviously know that the other two parts are positive. Just that cos theta part is what you need to take care of. So when I say A dot B is greater than 0, less than 0, theta becomes acute or obtuse accordingly. Yeah. All right. So two vectors are given. How do you find the angle theta between them? So mod A, mod B, cos theta. So now you can write cos theta to be A dot B divided by mod A mod B. This can further be written as theta equal to cos inverse A dot B mod A mod B. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Is there anything you're not understanding or anything new to you?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Right.
No, sir.
Okay, fine. Now, properties are there commutative, which means A dot B is B dot A. Okay, they are commutative. The two M's here. Okay, that's the horrible handwriting here. Now, distributive over product, yes, over addition. Distributive over addition. This can be written as AB plus A dot C. Okay. Or B plus C dot A can be written as B dot A plus C dot A. Same thing it is. Now, third point would be let A and B be two non-zero vectors. A and B, two non-zero vectors. Then if you get A dot B equal to 0, it simply means theta is 90, or in other words, A and B are perpendicular. Okay. So remember that I dot J, J dot I dot K, and the commutative version of these three parts will all be equal to 0. That is J dot K. And the commutative version of these three parts will all be equal to 0. They're all perpendicular. That's the idea. Okay. Next, write some important points. Mod of A plus B the whole square is mod A square plus mod B square plus 2 into A dot B. Mod of A minus B the whole square equal to mod A square plus mod B square minus 2 into A dot B. Okay, you just replace B with minus B here. That's it. Okay, you can take this minus B here. Here you can take minus B, and then you can take the minus outside. That's what is happening. Okay. Now, A plus B dot A minus B is mod A square minus mod B square. Now, if you get, if A plus B equal to mod A plus mod B, what does that mean? A is parallel B, okay? Both face in the same direction. So mod A, so A plus B, generally what do you do? When you get A and you have another B here, okay? So you form the third side of the triangle in the opposite sense. This will be the third side, right? This is A plus B, length of A plus B. But you know the length of, you're forming a triangle. The third side of the triangle, this length will be lesser than the sum of the other two. When is the sum equal to that of the other two? When I say A plus B, it refers to the third side of the triangle with vectors A and B. Okay. So here it is equal to sum of the sides of the first two sides of the triangle. So A should be along this path and B should be along this path. Okay, so together you get A plus B. Okay, so that is mod A plus mod B. So that is why I'm saying A will be parallel B. So if I get mod A plus mod B, okay, mod A minus mod B equal to, sorry, mod A plus mod B is mod A minus mod B. What can I say here? They are anti-parallel, right? They are parallel, but they face in the opposite direction. So there'll be some A here, bigger A, and then there'll be some B here, smaller B. And if you get this satisfied, mod A minus mod B, what does that mean? They are the opposite senses. Okay. When I simply add them up, I get only this much. Right. So basically, in other words, you can say cos theta equal to -1 or theta equal to pi. The angle between them is pi units. Then, if we get mod A plus mod B square equal to mod A square plus mod B square, what can you say here? Guys, what about this one?
Perpendiculars.
Exactly.
Perpendicular.
You can say that A and B are perpendicular. All right. Suppose you get A plus B equal to mod A minus B. What can you say here?
Sir, B vector is 0.
B vector is 0 is one possibility, but suppose it's given that A and B are non-zero vectors. Equal to 0 or B equal to 0 can be correct here, actually, that is true. But suppose they're non-zero. Then what can you say here?
Sir, are they anti-parallel or something?
Not exactly. Not exactly. Come on. Guys, we did this question before. So consider A and B to be some sides of a parallelogram. What happens here? A plus B and A minus B are the diagonals of the parallelogram. Okay. Now it's given that the length of the diagonals are equal. Are you following what I'm saying here? Last class we did this. A and B are two random
Yes,
vectors.
sir. Yes, sir.
So to form a parallelogram out of it, we use to form the diagonals of the parallelogram that you get out of it, you use A plus B and A minus B. Okay. Now it's given that both diagonals are equal. It means you are looking at a rectangle. Okay. So rectangle means what? Adjacent sides are A and B. Okay. Since A and B are adjacent sides and we're talking about rectangle, 90 degrees rectangle or a square, But you know for a fact that A and B are perpendicular. Or what do? Square both sides and expand. Square both sides and expand. We have the expansion already. Okay. So you will get from the expansion that cos theta is equal to 0 or A dot B is equal to 0. Okay. So here it means that A and B are perpendicular. Okay. Okay, I'll give you an easy question. Just seems tough. If vectors A equal to C log x to the base 2 I cap minus 6 j cap plus 3 k cap and B equal to I cap 2 j cap 2 C log x to the base 2 j cap make obtuse angle for all x between 0 to infinity. Find interval to which C belongs. Okay. Come on, guys, do this problem. Guys, what do you do here? Once you see they make an obtuse angle, you can say that A dot B will be less than 0. In other words, C log x to the base 2 minus 12
Plus 6c log to the base
plus
2.
log x to the base 2 will be less than 0. In other words, I can say that log x to the base 2 is t. So from here I'll get ct plus 6ct less than 12. In other words, ct less than 12 by 7. Let me check the question here. C log 2 minus 6 plus 3 log x to the base 2 I cap. Okay, guys, this is log x to the base 2 I cap. Guys, there's a slight change in the question. This is log x to the base 2 I cap. So this becomes squared here. Then this becomes t squared. So I get ct square 6ct minus 12 less than 0. Guys, can you solve the remaining? Look, x takes all values from 0 to infinity. So you can say t takes all real values. Okay. All permissible values of x are given here. Okay. So So you can say t can take any real value. So basically for any value of t, this should be satisfied. This is a quadratic, which is always lesser than 0, right? Are you following this much? Guys, this technique is very important and very useful. It was taught in the beginning. Can't believe you guys are not applying it. So ct square plus 6ct minus 12 is less than 0 means you will get a curve which is strictly under the x-axis. Okay, guys? Now, for such a curve, what can you say? You can say that D will be, first you have to say that C is less than 0. Okay, it's a downward facing parabola. Then we need that the discriminant, okay, will be less than 0 because it's under it, doesn't touch the x-axis at all. This will always be lesser than 0. Understand this. Okay, so D less than 0 means D square minus 4 AC is lesser than 0. In other words, here you get two roots which are 0 and minus 4 by 3. So you get C in this region. C is between minus 4 by 3 and 0. Okay, so these are the values of C, that's it. Right? That is saying C less than 0, so it's fine. Please ask if you didn't get this.
Sir, I didn't understand the last part, sir.
Okay, so this is quadratics. Okay, so here, what we are doing is, we are given some equation, ct square plus 6ct minus 12. Yes, right? Minus 6ct or plus 6ct. Yes. Okay, so we have some quadratic with us. Okay, so this quadratic is given to be lesser than 0. So quadratic can either be like this or like this. Agreed?
Yes, sir.
Like the axis can come anywhere. All right, it can go up, it can go down the axis. But the quadratic can be like this or like this. It's given that, like we know that t can take any value, any real value. All right. So it's given that this quadratic for any real value of t will give me a value lesser than 0. So you're definitely not looking at this, right? The first part. It
Yes, sir.
extends to
Yes.
infinity upwards. Okay. So this is extending to minus infinity downwards. So okay, fine. This is possible. All right. So for if you have some ax square plus bx plus c equal to 0, all right, the quadratic is like this. So what is the difference between this quadratic and this quadratic? Here you can say that a is greater than 0. Here you'll say that a is less than 0. Okay, so this is a downward facing parabola. Or
Yes, sir.
think of it this way: x square equal to minus 4ay case. This is what it looks like. All right, downward facing parabola. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So we have this term to be negative. Okay, this will be negative. Now, since this part is negative, I can conclude that okay, c is less than 0. Leading coefficient is negative, so it's going down. Okay, now we have leading coefficient is
Yes.
negative, but then for all values of t, this will be lesser than 0, which means it has to be under the x-axis, right?
Yes, sir.
It's okay if you take your time to understand this, but you better understand this. Is very useful. That's right. Okay, so here it will be lesser than 0 means what can you say about the roots? No roots, right? So you say d is less than 0. Okay. When you get d
Yes.
less than 0, square minus 4ac will be less than 0. Okay. Now what are we looking
This
at?
part I didn't understand, sir.
Yeah, I understood. I understood. I'm just giving full context now. 36c square plus 48c less than 0. I will rewrite this. So I'll take 12 common and cancel it out. It will become 3c square plus 4c less than 0. You know wavy curve method? Wavy curve method.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, that is what we'll be using now. So C into 3C plus 4 less than 0. So C means root is 0. 3C plus 4 means root is minus 4 by 3. Okay. Take a value greater than 0. What happens here? This is positive. This will also be positive. So here it's positive. Here it will be negative. And here it will be positive. What is the question being asked? Where is it less than 0? So C is less, and this entire expression is less than 0 when C is between minus 4 by 3 and 0. Is this clear?
Yes, sir. Got it, sir. But
Right.
why are we taking those values over here, sir?
Very common method here. Like so I will take the equation to be equal to 0 and find the roots basically and then mark them out. So roots are the places where the equation becomes 0. So there is a possibility that
Yes,
it can
sir.
change the sign. Okay, the expression
Yes,
can
sir.
change
That
its
part I
sign.
understood.
Then
When we are telling d is less than 0, then we are
uh,
taking 36c square plus 48c, no, sir. Why are
uh,
we taking particularly 36c square and 48c?
where did this come from? That is from this equation. This is the quadratic, which is less than 0. Is of the form ax square plus bx plus c. B square is 6c square minus 4 into a into c. Right?
Oh,
Actually, I don't think
okay.
you got it
Okay,
out.
sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, you got this, huh?
So that's the discriminant, no, sir?
Yeah. It's a discriminant.
Okay.
D less than
Yes.
0. Okay. Before we get into vector product, we'll discuss one more thing. Components of a vector along another vector. You guys only tell me. Along another vector. Okay. So A is here. B vector is here. Okay. So how can you? Okay. So let this point be M. This is a perpendicular drawn down. So B vector can be written as OM vector plus MB vector. Right triangle. Directly you can write. Okay. What is OM vector? It's OB cos theta, right? B cos theta is OM vector. Right. So what is B into cos theta? So I'll write B here. And then cos theta, I'll write that as A dot B by mod A mod B. Okay. This is in the A cap direction. All right. Plus MB, which is B sin theta. Okay. How do you find this MB component? MB component, how do you find it? You have B, you have this component. Just subtract both. Okay. So remember, MB component will be equal to B component minus OM component. Okay. So the vertical component becomes B minus this entire quantity. Right. So I'll write this as, so B and B cancel out. You get A dot B divided by mod A square, because this A dot, A dash I'll write as A vector divided by mod A. Okay, this is what it becomes. All right, so you can find the perpendicular component and the parallel component to any vector like this. Okay, is that clear? The simple addition here. Once you recognize that, you are sorted in this question. All right, guys.
Sir,
Next
so
class.
this is B vector along A vector, sir.
No. This is B vector in the perpendicular direction of A vector. The component that does not have any A vector in it. All right.
Oh, okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Huh? So B vector will have two components: OM component, which is along A, and MB component, which is not along A. Okay. Right. So the perpendicular component won't make any change to that A component, right? That's the idea. Okay. So this is how I bring it. So if they ask for perpendicular component, which is not along that, so you don't flood that. Okay, you just write it as sum of two parts, and then it will become difference from the original one to the part along A.
Yes, sir.
Any doubts here, guys?
No, sir. Got it, sir.
Got this? Right. This is pretty straightforward, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so did you guys get time to solve some conics questions? Please do that if you haven't. I'm guessing it's a no from most of you, but those who have, good, please practice more. But those who haven't, please start practicing.
Okay,
And
sir.
conics eventually is about practicing, not just. So you have a window of 3 days, okay, in which you can practice problems, frankly, because you just learned the theory now. Now quickly start practicing and applying those things you remembered that you learned. Okay, reapply and then get them into your brain. Okay. So on that note, we'll be doing vector product tomorrow. All right, let's end it for now. If you have any doubts, please ask. If you have any doubts, please ask ahead.
Sir, for this, right, sir, this vector along another vector.
Mhm.
Can you give a small example? Because I
Yes,
don't
yes.
think I'm understanding.
Yeah. No, not an issue, not an issue. So, suggest one vector, no? Okay, 1 by 2 I cap plus root 3 by 2 j cap. Okay, this is A vector. And there is some B vector, which is 1 by root 2 I cap plus 1 by root 2 j cap. Okay, you have some A vector and a B vector. You know where A vector and B vector is because of these values. Okay, so B vector is here and A vector is, okay, A vector is 1 by 2. Okay, perfect. A is here. What am I looking for? The component parallel to B and the component perpendicular to B. All right, guys? Okay. For the A vector, I'm trying to find component parallel to B and the component perpendicular to B. All right. So I want to write A vector in terms of B vector. Understanding? That's the idea here. So here I'll zoom into this. There is A vector, there is B vector, and there is an angle in between. All right. So here, so I'll call that angle theta. Okay, we know the angle theta, we can find it out later, but for the sake of explanation. So A along B, all right, A along B vector. How do I write that? So that I will draw this perpendicular here. Okay, the first part will be what, guys? Okay, I'll name the points O, M, and A. So A along B is basically OM vector. Okay, this point is M. A along B is OM vector, right? So that, how can I write it? It's the projection of A on B. So we know that A dot B is mod B into projection of A on B. Are you following? So this is the projection of A on B. Mod A cos theta. But then it's along the B direction. So I'll write that as B by mod B. Clear? Are you clear, guys? So the neater way of writing OM, which I just showed you, this is the projection, right? The projection, I write it as A dot B divided by mod B. We use this here. Okay. So from here, I write this mod A cross here like this and then square into B. Okay, this is what I get for OM. What can I say for MA vector? That is nothing but A minus OM vector. As simple as that. Okay. So OM vector is this component and MA vector is this component perpendicular to B. OM vector, how do I find? I just I just do the dot product of these two in the numerator. Okay, I don't even need to find the angle. That's the idea. Okay, just find the dot product here. This becomes 1 by 2 root 2 plus root 3 by 2 root 2. 1 by root 3 by 2 root 2 into B vector. B vector is 1 by root 2 into I cap plus J cap divided by B vector squared. Okay, which is 1 square. Okay, so this is OM. So we got OM, right? It becomes 1 plus root 3 by 4 into I cap plus J cap. All right. Guys, are you following?
Yes, sir.
This is OM vector. Now, MA vector, how do we find that? The perpendicular component. We have the original vector, right? 1 by root 2 I cap. Sorry. 1 by 2 I cap plus root 3 by 2 J cap. From there, I subtract OM vector. Okay, from here you can further simplify it. This much clear? What does this become? Okay, this is what you'll get as your final answer. Any doubts here?
So,
Any
so
doubts
from
here?
A vector, you subtract the OM vector we found, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, sir.
Because A vector is equal to AM plus OM. Okay, this is the important part here. This is
Oh,
what
so
I wanted.
triangle law only, no, sir.
Yeah, triangle law only this is.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Any other doubts, guys?
No, sir.
No, sir.
All right, then class is done for now. Take care, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you
Thank
for
you, sir.
joining.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.